Okay, welcome back. This is my Mercedes Benz SLK. It's an R170 99 model. I've seen a lot of questions in the forums about where the MAF sensor is located and how to remove it and clean it, so I thought I'd just show you all how it's done. So the MAF sensor is actually located down here. So the sensor itself is that unit here. So you can see there's a plug attached to the side of it here. And it's literally held in place by some clips down the bottom and a single flat bladed screwdriver head there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release those clips. That should give me a bit of leeway here where I can move this tube out, and I should be able to unscrew that Phillips head and remove the unit. Okay, so I've just realised before I actually try to unscrew anything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the electrical connector. It's actually just squeezes together, so you squeeze it, gently rock it backwards and forwards, and it'll come off. Okay, so that's the actual MAF there. You can see a better view. So you can see down the bottom here the two clips. They just push up and over. So that's one of them. And the second one down here, similar situation, up and over. And that's going to release that unit, so you can sort of see that I can gradually pull that free. I'm going to need two hands for that, so I'll pause this for a minute. Okay, so I've just separated that. Now a real interesting note that I've just seen here is that there's actually a lot of oil there. So if I run my finger on it, don't know if that's going to show. So I'm expecting what I'm going to find that when I do remove the MAF is it is going to be probably coated with oil, so I'll show you how to clean that and then how to reinstall it. So now I'm just loosening that flathead bolt which holds the top end of the MAF there. Once it's loosened, I'm going to be very careful not to drop any grime and grit down that hole. And separate that, and then we'll take it inside the clean. Okay, so that's the MAF airflow sensor removed. You can probably see just by looking at that, that's what I'm actually seeing on it, so that's probably not a really good sign. I'm going to try and clean it off anyway, see how we go with that. And you can probably just see a little bit better now where that actually came from. That's where it sits. Yeah, so take it inside and we'll get cracking at cleaning it. So just another view of that. Alright, so just a bit better look at the MAF sensor. What you'll see that on the inside side here, or the inlet side I'm going to call it, you got a very thick plastic mesh, and in this instance you can sort of see a little bit of a bug there potentially. It's been sort of trapped by that. Inside that is actually a very thin mesh, so if we turn it around this way, the camera's probably not going to do it justice, but if you take my word for it, there's two levels of mesh there, a very thick outer one and a very thin inner one. So going through there, we then have the sensor that protrudes, and that sensor obviously goes through, and that's the connection on this side. So what I'm going to try and do is clean in here. You can probably see a bit of a sheen inside because it's got this very light coating of oil throughout. And yeah, so what I've got to do is clean that. So what I've done is I've purchased from Halfords, I'm in the UK, something called electrical contact cleaner. Now this is actually a solvent which is designed for use on electrical components. It's supposed to actually designed for cleaning ignition components and other precision parts, metal surface coatings, etc. And it's supposed to actually evaporate and just remove all traces of itself. So this is the product I'm using. There's another one around, a CRC MAF cleaner, but I couldn't find that, so I've opted for this one. So it's actually about to start cleaning this now. I've just had a really close look at this, and there's one thing I've noticed, which is that the actual inside material there, you can still see the plastic sticking through is solid on this end, so, but on the other side it's actually open, so the wire it actually protrudes through. So when I'm cleaning, ideally I should try and remove the actual grill off the front here, but I'm going to try and clean it with that in place, because I'm not quite sure how to remove it without damaging it, but we'll give it a good go. I'm going to use quite a lot of solvent on this, so here goes. I'm going to continue this process, do it inside and out, both sides, quite liberally. There'll be quite a lot now, I expect it to be dripping off, and then we're going to let it dry. Okay, so there's the cleaned MAF sensor. As you can probably see, it's literally the cleaner is still dripping out. I really got in there, and what I ended up doing was I got most of this oil was coming off with the extra spray. There seemed to be a little bit of residue there, so I simply wrapped a little bit of cloth around a screwdriver and just carefully raked it around the outside, and not touching the actual wire in the center. But I just gave that a really liberal dousing and cleaner. Just cleaned up the outside too. I did try, while the camera was removed off, to try and remove the screen here, but after managing to crack just a portion of the outer rim there, you can probably just see it. Decided to leave it on there, just try to keep cleaning it by spraying it through the ends. If you want to try and do a really thorough clean, you could potentially try and remove the star screws off here and actually remove the sort of sensor unit out. But from what I've read on the web, it's not recommended, and this sets you back probably about £200-300, so or $300-400 in the States. So yeah, definitely best just try and clean it as is, just by spraying the cleaner on, and then go back for reassembly. So reassembly wise, it's going to go in pretty much the reverse way it came out. So if you're wondering which way it goes in, it's quite simple actually, because down the bottom we've got the clips. So it'll go into the unit like that, the clips will go on the bottom, reattach the hose at the top, make sure we go really sealed connection, reconnect the wire. I'm going to give this probably about 30 minutes or so to dry now, before I try and actually reconnect it and restart the car. So fingers crossed. Okay, now we're getting ready to reinstall our MAF back into its location. Now it's important when you're putting this back, just have a really close look here. There's actually, I'll try and get some focus on it, it's actually a big rubber O-ring that goes around here, and so this one's just been pushed out a fraction when I removed the MAF. So just make sure it's back in place. I'm going to run a cloth around here just to remove any of the excess oil I can see around there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reinsert the MAF like this, so with the plug facing inwards to the car, that's the way it came out. I'll reattach the top tube for that, and you'll see the actual cable itself for that runs off and is actually attached to that, so I'll reconnect that. The first thing I'll do is I'll seat the bottom half of the MAF into the lower section. So I've got the MAF seated now, so what I'm going to try and do, first clip on the bottom, it's actually not that fiddly a job. There we go, so the bottom part's in. And now I'll get that top tube to line up. I think right about now, using two hands would actually make this job a lot easier. Okay, so it's now back in, the top tube's reattached. It was actually quite hard to get that top tube on, it's a very firm fit. I've also re-tightened that the restrictive band, I guess you call it, that holds it on. So now all that's left is to reconnect the actual plug for the unit. It only goes on one way. That's just a case of firmly pushing it in. And if it's in properly, you should probably get a firm click, but it looks like that's just clicked in anyway. And that's all there is to it. So that's how you remove a mass airflow sensor from a Mercedes Benz SLK R170, clean it and reinstall it. Hope this helps.